Sabbamangalam Rakhantu Sabbadevata Sabbasanganubhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu
Pratichahum Swaha Sarvasu Dikshu Sambuddhan Prathayami Kritanjalihi Dharma Pradipam Kurvantu Moha Dukkha Prapatina.
Nam ju ga zo tan de ge nga ho choga na lo ya ara gam ba de bu de a lo question ni chen she se me do tu gu ma mi ti ju she se rong sa da ti ti cha do sa nam ju da nga wa nga de cho ba ma yi bu ji cha ji chen yun she any she se se na gang gong su tu ya de shi do 저 초반에 차시 중. 나 겨울호서도 원래 차시 중. 저서 말끔히 가다음에 그게 주일이야. 아니 최연의 손지를 좀 봐도 필요하지. 저 자가 유출이야 근데 여덟시. 그때면도 보잖아. 엔자만은 두개. 들면서 되나. 엔자만은 셰시 보잖아. 상도. 어떻게 지내셔?
Headphone case.
제다. 근데 파괴 유지. 엔다. 넘버 산지기. 그게 추주. 아니 그냥 리직 판매네 마. 다 산지기 쳐 냠내 채팅해지. 엔다 그냥 리직 다 벌거 직신에 양치 남출을 도나사와 때문에 엔다 라고도 로자 아메리카 그런 거 더네 다 도나사와 해야지 제시 신고 샤야리 저도 들이 간다 파괴 유지 아니 그냥 넘버 산지 진주 아니 남들 때 양아주 도체 당연만에 한다 천지 주주다 가서 그게 천지 시야전에 따들 때 류시번에 막 남자야지
So usually we come across in tantric rituals these make offerings of drinking water, water for washing one's feet, and then flower, incense, and the rest of the offerings down to music. Which is, of course, an Indian custom in the ancient times, and then it seems in today's offering, you didn't have some of the offerings we usually also have in the rituals, like Drajanam and Anjamanam offerings, but having said that, Buddhism, of course, is a traditional Indian religion, and here we have people who are traditional Buddhists, and then others who have found interest in Buddhism newly, and by following as followers of Dr. Ambedkar, who had actually left a great legacy in the Indian, in India regarding Buddhism.
और यहाँ पर ज़्यादा के समुदाय की अगर बात किया जाए तो बाबा साहब भीमराव अम्बेडकर के वाद के लिए उनके द्वारा प्रभावित होकर के बौद्ध धर्म को मानने वाले लोग भी इस प्रवचन समारोह में शामिल हुए हैं। तो आज इस बोधचर्या अवतार के उद्देश्य से पूर्व प्रथम अध्याय, द्वितीय अध्याय और तृतीय अध्याय ये संपूर्ण हो चुका है। और जैसा कि अनुरोध किया गया कि चौथे अध्याय से लेकर के आगे तक बोधचर्या अवतार का उपदेश दिया जाए, तो यहाँ पर कार्यक्रम चौथे अध्याय से लेकर के आगे तक का प्रवचन दिया जाएगा।
And the Pagwe Yugi and that Chirozo, the other name Cheshadian, she Marajan saw Mixichi, young Degito, Kareslavna, and Sanjum de and Rani, the Jagapagwe Yulia, the Kanda, Chicheni, and Zaban Zeche, those are and Nadacha Usum law sober, and Tembeter Dinda. Then it in Biggie in it, Taxishilare, Nalandare, Brikamala Shilare, oh, that the Rigi in it, Tenon Zimbe, and Didi, Chishara, oh, the Rigi, that Kanda, Temple Zinju Besum Nangekita, Kuru, Ganshia, a Pagwe Yutina, Chumbari. That did you do? And another she died, she shed there, Tagana Shiki Sosu Yansolea, the Toma, the Tabashu de Sum. Pardo, and Ben Nalanda carry almost that loom the river, that Harvard is so in regular Dane, any Sanjay choose the Dalapum. Now, the Rigi, she choose to put our day, and Nalanda, the Turk Javan on the Wagata, Nalanda, they carry Zugan, and Kenji Shioto, and a purge church educational, and a pearl pet. Don't Konama, and that's Sanjay Church. Ben Nalanda, Chashi Nanshi, Jigitama, Tarche. What did he do? Lujus on a Shavina, and a Pagwe Yugi, and Kiranzo, that Mazu Tome, that Purgi, and Chikmana, Namju Lumi Jegengi. The Gigento Chade Ori. So in a Manzu and the Shed Hati, and the Lujutone, one that 20 Tagu Surgery, Chans Chade Ori. The Manzu Chans Mevuzan, so love Shirati, that to Tatapoto, Tagu Jimche, that dead of Zara 20 Tagu Surgery, Chans Pagwe. That Sanjay Zing Chans Chade Ori. That in the Indu, and we say, Charge young Digital.
So should we first take tea, blessing for the tea and bread? This blessing prayer is mentions the extraordinariness of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and the extraordinariness of making offerings to them. And so today we have here Dharma brothers and sisters of India gathered for this teaching on the Bodhisattva Charyavatara by Master Shantideva. And it gives me a special kind of feeling to give this teaching to you today, because of course, Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, came to India and performed the enlightened deeds of Buddha, and then following him, there were the 7 successors of the Buddha, such as Master Kashyapa and so forth. And then after them, Buddhism also was preserved in institutions such as Takshashila, and then later Nalanda, and still later Vikramalashila. And so the masters from these monastic institutions upheld and preserved the teaching of the Buddha. And so they lived in India, and then the teaching and the practice that we as Tibetans do was first given by the Buddha, of course, and then through by preserving the scripture, and through and then mainly by using reason. The masters of Nalanda tradition, for example, preserved the teaching, and then in the 8th century, at the invitation of the Tibetan king, Emperor Shantideva, Master Shantideva was invited to Tibet, and he came to Tibet and disseminated the teaching there. And therefore, what the Buddhist tradition that we have in Tibet is exactly the following the Nalanda tradition. And therefore, historically, we could say that you, the Indians, are our teacher, and you are the actual custodians of the teaching of the Buddha. And we, since Chandarakshita's time in the 8th century, what we have done is preserved the teaching of the Buddha. And therefore, I have this special feeling to be able to share this teaching to you as Indians, traditional teachers.
भगवान बुद्ध के काफी समय बाद भी जो नालंदा के पश्चिम पाटन का क्रम या वहाँ के कई सारे विद्वानों ने उस परंपरा को जीवित रखा। तो खासकर अगर बौद्ध दर्शन की अगर बात की जाए और बौद्ध धर्म की अगर बात की जाए तो वो बुद्ध के जो बुद्धवादी दर्शन है प्रज्ञा पर आधारित ज्ञान पर आधारित उनका दर्शन है। नालंदा से 8वीं शताब्दी के बाद जब बौद्ध धर्म तिब्बत में गया, वहाँ पे जो सबसे प्रमुख गुरु शांतिदेव जी के द्वारा तिब्बत में बौद्ध धर्म को ले जाया गया। वहाँ पर बौद्ध धर्म की शिक्षाएँ दीक्षाएँ किस प्रकार से होना चाहिए, किस प्रकार से शिक्षाएँ हैं, सर्वप्रथम आचार्य शांतिरक्षक के समय में वहाँ पर गया और वहाँ पठन पाठन और जो तरीके थे बौद्ध धर्म के सिद्धांत के तौर पर चाहे धार्मिक जो भी व्यवस्था है वहाँ पर ठहरा। और इस प्रकार से भारत के जो परंपराएं और तिब्बत की जो संबंध है उसी समय प्राचीन समय से होता आ रहा है। और हमारे तिब्बती जहाँ तक ज्ञान की अगर बात की जाए, जितने भी विद्वानों की जो भी ज्ञान है, जो भी उन्होंने सीखा है, तो भारत से ही गया है। भारत के विद्वानों के द्वारा, भगवान बुद्ध के वचनों के द्वारा हम तिब्बती लोगों ने अनुभवन में भी इन चीज़ों को सीखा है। और एक तरह से ऐतिहासिक तौर पर हम तिब्बती लोग जो अपने भारतीय समाज के विद्वान लोग रहे हैं उनको एक मार्गदर्शक के रूप में, अगुआ के रूप में मानते आ रहे हैं। तो ऐतिहासिक तौर पर अगर देखा जाए तो आप लोग प्रमुख हैं, आप भारतीय लोग प्रमुख हैं जो कि इस परंपरा को प्राचीन समय से मानते आ रहे हैं, उनमें से आप ही लोग प्रमुख हैं। तो अभी तक हम लोगों ने जो परंपरा आपकी रही है भगवान बुद्ध के बाद से नालंदा से 8वीं शताब्दी से लेकर के आज तक एक परंपरा भी भली भांति संरक्षित करके संजो करके रखा है। तो इस प्रकार के कार्य जो भी हमारे तिब्बती समाज या अन्य लोगों ने संरक्षित करके रखे हैं, लेकिन इन सबसे अगर ऊपर बात की जाए, इन सबसे ऊपर की बात अगर हो तो वो आप लोग ही खासकर हैं। आप लोग यहाँ कहने का तात्पर्य भारत के जो विद्वान लोग हैं, भारत के जो विद्वान लोग जिन्होंने उसकी रख रखाव किया है वो आप लोग हैं।
Enda jaga phagwe yudi tengsaben zambuli digale ya peje 지 zambuli 추주 소처디디 삼월로 대안나라 다 예대로 샤도가 산달로 지 동라 하란다 니다 대안랑게다 파미리 쳐지위는 동라 숨즈 다 되게 생기 다 간다 지 야랑네야 지다 사도 중대배 에 지 장제의 지루와의 상계의 처리 대다전라부터 주기문 거지 사면 사다라네 야다 중대배시 에 지금 조라소든 사로 지다가는 신이 주대즘 에 크리스천이티 이슬람 다 되지 저 치료는 중거리 가다 자가나로 다 취기디 참말로 이해되고 싶어가 저다 더리게서 저물이 되나라 시 롱보 개가 지나라 다 저물림이 추로 참말로 이해하다 아 뒤에 다 리소르소가 여러도 연구리 그 영시비시 시 지우고 차네 뭐냐라 시 슈루 지기지리야 왜 가서 그게 ziguru cheche, tanaro chang doru sundo deaji, tabeji dea zamuri digangi mikita seso shato. Enda purgamne, jiga sanjebe chele ya tonaya sawaji leche. Anda urisali ya mazu puri peba shijaji yari. Di chi de gyagagi yusu chirishito, mi tongja 숨 신이 숨지되지. 그래서 이제 뭐들네 이 산계배치 양면칭이 뭐들 드셔서 또 가다 나무네다 직산계배치 그 지수 중에 전부 이해되버리. 근데 벌금 내가 나제니 또 아메리카 된데게 타네 즉 산계배치로 돈아 사바시도스래. 다 벌금네 지기 양지 출루 남을 몽고 지 로전 생각다 하고도야 아니 균제를 상담이 샤바샤 뒤든데 리아 토나체도 되게 답변은 노초네 노초롱고 사제비쇼 대한 정확하게 요 말에 다 저를 니슈베 매자 저를 주서집에다 뒤크도데 지금 누초에 변한 천리에 나네 지금 산제에 쳐게 떠주다 지니 리글부터네 참아리베터네 잡아셔야돼 도나 메시지 용되게도 와 사티리지기다 두줄이야 야라가 나로네 야 되게다 지금 소스 파미다 제너지 베날렌데 다 지 취규 데이터를 신의 돈으로 사와지 레데아디 뭐네 균제 대버려라 신도 어버지르샤 데 야랑기 다 파미 취규 더주 다 서부샤디아레 데데게다 야랑기 파미게다 더주 데데게다 리소스네 men도 간다지 더주디 아니 로똥랑 같이 침배다 더주지 이마서도 마세베 더리케세 다 뒤주 지금 천리를 통해 즉 딱제제하기 된대지기다 뒤주디 거둘러 지금 산계베다 최지다 하고 날렌데다 주기고 통해 송샤 되주제 아니 편주 지기지리야 지금 그게 가소래 야, 다 로아조스네도 간다 지기 편주 로지래야 되어 지기 되지기다 삼을래 되어로. 자, 인데 자가 나로네 다 토나로 신내지 지다 아주 파면에 남바 인사로 되게 매매체 소소 그게 삼다 샤바제 도수 용도 제 소소 파면에 여대베다 떠루 띵서우데 토나 사바시를 돼야지 뭐네 제수 일하셔야지 가게여지 신도 어르시지
So India, which is also called the land of the noble ones, is a nation where all the major religious traditions of the world exist together. And for over 1,000 years, this has been the case. And then within India, of course, there had been all these traditional Indian homegrown religions, such as Sankhya school and Jainism, Hinduism, and so forth. And so with regard to the religions which have come from outside to India, these old major religions include Zoroastrianism, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And therefore, today in this world, one country where all the major religious traditions of the world are respected, have this mutual respect to each other, and live harmoniously, coexist, is this country, India. And therefore, India has, in a way, become a role model for the rest of the world for religious harmony and respect to each other. I have once met some people from Orissa, who actually told me that they have been following the teaching of the Buddha since a very long time. And so it's not a very big community, but there's such small communities who have been following Buddhism exist in India. And then in the recent century, with the help of Dr. Ambedkar, there had been this the followers of the Buddha, and then still recently, in the recent years, we have had more people who are following the teaching of the Buddha through reason and critical analysis into the teaching of the Buddha. And amongst them, there are Westerners, such as scientists, and then with the help of being influenced by them, we have others, such as Indian people taking interest in the teaching of the Buddha, not out of just blind faith, but understanding and based on reason and logic. And so such people do exist in the world today. And so from within India, these people, there's growing number of people who take interest in the teaching of the Buddha through, based on reason and with regards to the teaching of the Buddha that we have, you may call it Indian culture or in ancient Indian philosophical tradition, thought traditions. These have been there in India, and then with other religious traditions and scientists and so forth. What we find today is that it's not just ancient Indian culture, but it's relevant and beneficial that to other people that we can share with them. And so amongst the other people of other religions also we can share this, and therefore I think that the Indians today in the modern times, contemporary age, taking interest in the Buddha Dharma, which is your own traditional religion, is appreciative, and it's worth for you to take interest in this tradition.
वो बातें हैं दूसरे देशों के लिए, पाश्चात्य देशों के लिए नई हो सकती हैं, लेकिन बौद्ध धर्म की अगर बात की जाए तो भारत देश में प्राचीन समय से पिछले 2600 या उससे ज़्यादा के समय से यहाँ पर ये विद्यमान है। और इसके अतिरिक्त भी अगर देखा जाए तो भगवान बुद्ध का जो दर्शन है वो खास करके प्रज्ञा पर आधारित दर्शन है, जैसा कि मैंने पूर्व में कहा कि प्रज्ञा के द्वारा उसको जांच पड़ताल करने का एक दर्शन है। और भगवान बुद्ध के दर्शन में भी बहुत सारे सिद्धांत, भगवान की शिक्षा बहुत सारे जो सिद्धांत और उसके वेद देखने को मिलते हैं। तो सिद्धांतिक तौर पर भी अगर बौद्ध धर्म की बात की जाए तो काफ़ी गंभीर रूप से देखने को मिलती है। तो आप लोग, भारतीय लोग, चाहे अपने बौद्ध धर्म को अपनी संस्कृति कहें या फिर आपके जो दर्शन कहें, तो यहीं से ये उत्पन्न हुआ, या आपकी संस्कृति एक तरह की विरासत ये भारत देश से उत्पन्न हुई है। तो आप लोगों को इस विरासत को अच्छी तरह से रखना चाहिए, जैसे कि प्राचीन समय में इस दर्शन का, इन सिद्धांतों का काफ़ी अच्छी तरह से परीक्षण हुआ, काफ़ी पठन किया गया। नालंदा के विद्वानों ने इसके ऊपर टीकाएँ या टिप्पणी बहुत सारी की हैं। तो इस प्रकार का जो आपका दर्शन रूपी एक प्रकार का खजाना है वो आप लोग इसके प्रमुख अवतार हैं। तो आज के समय में भी हम सभी लोगों का आप सभी लोगों का एक उत्तरदायित्व बनता है कि जो प्राचीन समय में भारत के विद्वानों ने जो ग्रंथ दिए हैं, जो धर्म उपदेश दिए हैं, उनको पढ़ें, दूसरों को भी पढ़ाएं और ये पठन पाठन में जानने का समय है। और खास जो है आज ऐसा समय है कि इस देश में भी बौद्ध धर्म को मानने वालों की जो संख्या है या उनका जो कहा जाए आबादी है दिनों दिन बढ़ती जा रही है। तो बौद्ध धर्म की आबादी बढ़ने के साथ ही जो भी भगवान बुद्ध ने प्रवचन दिए या विद्वानों ने प्रवचन दिए हैं उनको पढ़ने की आवश्यकता, उनको सीखने की आवश्यकता है। और इन पढ़ने के दौरान भी महत्वपूर्ण बात यह है कि आपको इसके प्रति हमेशा तटस्थ भाव से परीक्षा करने की आवश्यकता होती है, क्योंकि आप जब अपनी बुद्धि के अनुसार इसका परीक्षण करेंगे तब उसके सार है ज़्यादा अच्छी तरह से समझ पाएंगे, अच्छी तरह से उसको आप अभ्यास में ला सकते हैं।
나 출루 지금 지대 거보고 되게한다. 지대 거보고 민두겐 다 가다 출루 면다 뒤도 상월라기 럽서 소디 창바다 자와 창바다 제 냠네 야구지 영화래야 디 개기 시다는 녀못 된 거야 지금. 근데 이번 인도자네 출루 상월라기 지금 서베 냠네 초시 냠네 엔 소소소 정정송 자 근데 이 달랍제티 출루 상월라고 쓰면 되겠더라. 다 근데 지 냠린 제야 다 잠바다 자와다 서바다 근데 다 냠린 제야기 갑된으로데 엔 릭지기 말아도 뉴주 영조로 지는 거법을 꿰버리스 저랑 알아서 상월로 지는 거법을 꿰셔시 지는 거법이 땅 알아서 판단시리 된지기 딱 거법이 다 아니 닝지 탑에 지어야 되지 다 infinite love 드신다 송도가 자 되게 랑 거겐게 거법이 닝지 탐해버지기 이번 인도산에 대대부 지된 거법을 끄에 아니 두셔서 어다 지기 파이 지수를 거야 저자가 닝지 넣고야 지기 좀전 두신 거 인도산에 간단히 지된 거법을 되게게 지된 거법을 된적이 떠주지 시행이 떠주되기 말아서 잠닝지 냠래 지 가서를 보게 냠래 남아 영야 냠래 야고준하기 답쟁서로 차용도가 지들 거 보면 메뉴경기에 배는 장제함에 벌어서 그래서 제가 지들 거 보면 메뉴경기 보이네 지금 참바다 자와서야 되디 다 가서 냠래가 좋으잖아. 나 된리기 아니 참바다 자와 서바도 저 고야기 중진디 레준제 사기 뜻듯이셔. 소소 상부시잖아. 샹래야 판다. 제 샹러 자와셔 제베이나 랑러 주디기 무리스. 랑기 샹래야 차와셔. 너바셔 제베이나 랑러 주동에 용거리스. 어다 준제기 남샤가 토네 닝부디 아주 여러 체과 지다 사바상고 저바상고 체과 지다라 럽지 직주래도가 시장가 된지 이든 전문인 대가라 아니 내다 투 맨자와라 아니 담바담면의 중니 즉 추주담면의 송야리 디디 미래 팽겨리 로 대로 동자 니즈링리야 취규담한테 중니 민다 전에 배 사야 처음으로 패야래 다저이네 팽겨래 마음벌이네 패번 주로래 띵마이네 들어와 사들이 인도산에 아다자 파괴 유저래야 취규 tum부차기 mikdu sambuchi yorela ta di hajan keshimoresha. And the Namun Deva Lujunali in Cheda Menda, Junzetu Chedi, any Jig Gata Tuxan Shavina, any Chukajaya, the Lujunali, Yonde Yari, the Tarikas in Cheda Menda, Junzetu Chedi, any Chukajati, then Yonde Toga. So that the Maranzo. 자외다 지 떠주면서 요래디 쉬주 참을러게 아니 참지 러지치기여다 세변ኛ를 러지치기여다 디디 라도랑니 아니 쉬주 참을러 tumbuch야 떠주면서 요바디 칸도 매번 면저에 뒤져라 떠주면서 과리 자 디디인데 지금 떠주면서 요래디 미유디 참진냠냐 공도배야지 이거 이두잖아요. 아니 쉐당 면자와다 지 떠주면자와 요디디 그 캐베 양지 남주고 터네 당세시하다 그디 연구리 모더랑 기타 나도 소소소 감담나봐 가와 잡아연에 디터를 친샤나 아니 야오샤르와 개치슈디 라랭게 하더리 참바도 제 냠니지하디 디 개치슈리샤 다 산제를 쳐라 맨정시 가야르스라 이나 아니 간단지 통마電子 총고로 숭배 거두네 좀된 얘기 균제기 단 로단디 터네 아니 동네 균제 땐도 때와 균제 직전 도우스네 대버시 송도가 어다 디기 그게 law of causality 딘지지 송 대상도 마세 디두 제법고 디두 녀보디 아니 풍불에 아니 대신배 다요 말이스 풍불에 때네 딱왜 다지마도 풍불에 대신배 다요 말이스다 다다 다도 다와다 다음에 봤다 다음에 저니 용대도가 그래서 나 근데 인도산에 지대 거보보에 민주회체 주던제고 거래 단에 중얼레스 근데기 디도 제보보다 디도 녀보디에 풍물의 대신에 다랑겨 요마레스 어떤 되게 있네 산제를 쳐야지 맨자샤이고요. 저상가 산제를 쳐기 따와디 띵중도 따와 세하기. 땡진적으로 좋아 세하기 떠주디 다 산제를 총원 버리셔. 아도 지들 거 보고 민중이지 교단 제부 그 남샤디 송구여르디 이니 디두 제법보다 녀보디 다 아니 전셔버스는도 다 아니德지랑 어떤데 송구여가 이루잖아요. 그 땡중 고아 차선 레기요 말에. 와. 다 산제에 중네 되게 하는 샤마타원은 시기 다음에 따와던 트레이닝. 아니 규제기 땡중 다 규제기 남샤 송셔버다디 산제에 떠주고 터네. 땡중 따와서 규제기 땡중 따와서 다 디가는 레벨이. 다 디멘다지레샤. You have to. You should drink. I will wait. I will wait.
So within the religious traditions of the world, there are basically two groups of which are theistic religion and non-theistic religions. within which there are all these different religious traditions. But then the main message of all these religious traditions, whether theistic or non-theistic, is the practice of love and compassion. And so, in order to counter the obstructing factor for the cultivation of love and compassion, which is anger, there is also the teaching on the practice of tolerance or forgiveness, and then contentment and self-discipline as well. And so these practices are like a support to the practice and cultivation of love and compassion. And as a reason that they give for the practice of love and compassion, there are those who say there's a creator God who is looked at as a father figure, like a father. And this creator God, according to the theistic religions, is also described as being a being with infinite love. And so since this creator is of infinite love, therefore the creatures, his own creation, are also asked to or instructed to practice and train in love and compassion. So this philosophical idea of creation is used to support the practice of love and compassion, to back up that and practice. And even the non-theistic traditions have the main message of practice of love and compassion. And the reason for that, the philosophical understanding for the practice of love and compassion towards all sentient beings is, other beings, is because of the teachings are based on law of cause and effect. So according to which, if you help others, if you do something good to others, the consequence is that you have a positive effect experience, and then if you harm others, you have a negative consequence as a result. And so whichever philosophical understanding you follow, whether theistic or non-theistic, or law of causality, the essence of all these teachings is the practice of love and compassion. And so for thousands of years, all these religions, different religions in the world, have benefited sentient beings, or beings in the world, and they are still being very beneficial and helpful, and they will be so in the future as well. And so regarding the harmony amongst the different religious traditions, we in India is a very good example to the world. Although, of course, if you look at history, there have been lots of fightings amongst people in the name of religion, and this is even happening today. Using the name of religion, people fight amongst each other, and that is something understandable, although the basic teaching is love and compassion, but then there are, of course, those who misbehave amongst the different, with peoples of the different religious traditions. And so philosophically the religions may be different, but then the main message is same, that is love and compassion. And therefore despite these philosophical differences, we need to develop and we need to promote religious harmony. And the most important practice of these different religions is love and compassion. And so, having said that, now regarding Buddhism, the unique thing about Buddhism is the teaching based on the teaching of the Four Noble Truths which the Buddha gave as his first sermon, which is based on the understanding of law of cause and effect. And on the basis of these, the practice of the Four Noble Truths, what we are led to is this ultimate lasting happiness, nirvana. And so that understanding of law of causality is one feature of the teaching of the Buddha. And then the other feature is that although there are other non-theistic traditions like Jainism and this one part of Sankhya school, but what differs differs, how Buddhism differs from these two is also from the point of view of the lack of or the denial of an independent self, an Atman theory. And so in Buddhism, neither a creator God is accepted nor a separate independent self who is an experiencer of the pain and pleasure does not exist. And so there's no independently existing self which experiences our pain and pleasures. And therefore the unique teaching of the Buddha could be said to be that of the dependent origination. And so dependent origination, and particularly in this context of the Four Noble Truths and the law of cause and effect, law of causality.
क्योंकि पिछले 3-4 हज़ार वर्षों से इसका लाभ होता आ रहा है, अभी भी लोगों को लाभ हो रहा है और भविष्य में भी लोगों को लाभ होगा, चाहे वो आत्मा को मानने वाले हों या नकारने वाले हों, कोई भी लोग हों, हमेशा उससे उनको लाभ मिलता है, उनको करना चाहिए। और भारत में हम देखें कि प्राचीन काल से ही सभी धर्म एक साथ रहे हैं, सभी धर्मों के प्रति सद्भाव और संभाव रहा है। और छोटी मोटी धर्मों के बीच में भी कभी कभी छोटे मोटे या छोटा अगर कोई झगड़े या मन मोटा हों वो अलग बात है, लेकिन मोटा मोटी तौर पर देखा जाए तो सारे लोग अच्छी तरह से बड़े तसल्ली के साथ रहे हैं। आज के समय में भी, जो कि आज के या 20वीं शताब्दी के बाद 21वीं शताब्दी में भी, चाहे बौद्ध धर्म हो या अन्य धर्म कोई भी हो, उनमें छोटे छोटे जो झगड़े या छोटे मोटे मन मुटाव ये सब में देखने को मिलते हैं। क्योंकि अगर कोई व्यक्ति या किसी एक जगह पर रहता है जहाँ या समाज में रहता है तो समाज में इस प्रकार की छोटी मोटी चीज़ें होना स्वाभाविक है। तो हालांकि हमारे सिद्धांत अलग हो सकते हैं, सिद्धांतिक तौर पर हमारे जो विचार हैं वो अलग हो सकते हैं, लेकिन मूलभूत जो बातें हैं, प्रेम करना या फिर जहाँ तक एक दूसरे भाईचारे की जो बातें हैं वो समान रूप से होनी चाहिए, उनमें कोई भेदभाव करने की आवश्यकता नहीं है। क्योंकि लोगों की विभिन्न प्रकार की मानसिक स्थिति, मानसिक तरीके होने की वजह से विभिन्न प्रकार के धर्मों की आवश्यकता होती है, विभिन्न प्रकार के सिद्धांतों की आवश्यकता होती है। तो उन सिद्धांतों को, बहुत सारे सिद्धांत होने की भी कोई बुराई नहीं है कि इस देश में बहुत सारे सिद्धांत हैं, तो उनका अपना एक महत्व है। तो इस सिद्धांतों की वास्तव में उसकी आवश्यकता होती है, क्योंकि लोगों की सोच अपनी होती है, उसी हिसाब से उनको धर्मों की व्याख्या या उस प्रकार के सिद्धांत की भी आवश्यकता होती है। तो चाहे वो बौद्ध हों या बौद्ध हों, उनका अपने सिद्धांत के अनुसार चलना चाहिए, उनके सिद्धांत को मानना चाहिए। और ख़ास करके जब अगर बौद्ध धर्म की यहाँ पर हम बात करें तो भगवान बुद्ध ने प्रथम धम्म चक्र उपदेश जो कि सारनाथ में दिया है, वहाँ से लेकर के ही तो जो क्रम उन्होंने दी, जैसे धम्म चक्र उपदेश की अगर बात की जाए तो दुख, सत्य, समुदय इत्यादि जो 4 प्रकार के कार्य सत्य की बात कही है, तो एक क्रम दिया है, उस क्रम के अनुसार भी हमें मानना चाहिए। तो पहले धर्म चक्र उपदेश से ही भगवान बुद्ध ने कर्म फल के सिद्धांत की भी व्याख्या की, वहीं से कर्म फल का सिद्धांत व्याख्या किया कि किस प्रकार से कर्म फल के अनुसार ही जो बौद्ध धर्म की मान्यता है चीज़ें होती हैं। तो हमारे जितने प्रकार के सुख हों या दुख हों, तो हमारी करने के अनुसार जिस प्रकार से करते हैं उसी प्रकार से हमें सुख या दुख की अनुभूति होती है, सुख या दुख प्राप्त होते हैं। क्योंकि कोई करने वाला या कराने वाला बाहर से नहीं, वह स्वयं ही होता है। कभी भी ये विचार नहीं होना चाहिए कि जो भी हम कर रहे हैं या कराने वाला है वो कोई अलग से है। जैसा कि सिद्धांतिक तौर पर देखें कि बौद्ध धर्म आत्मा के सिद्धांत को नकारता है, तो नकारने का भी हाँ ये उसका एक तर्क है, सिद्धांत है कि जो हमारे 5 स्कंद हैं, 5 स्कंदों से हट करके किसी भी प्रकार की स्वतंत्र आत्मा की कोई अस्तित्व नहीं है, इस प्रकार का यहाँ पर व्याख्या दिया जाता है। इस प्रकार के सिद्धांतिक तौर पर बौद्ध धर्म के अनुसार कहा जाता है कि जो 5 स्कंद हैं उन्हीं के ऊपर जो भी मान्यता है उस प्रकार से है, हट करके कोई आत्म या जो सोल इत्यादि हैं वो उसको नकारते हैं। तो बुद्ध ने खुद कहा है कि जो भी ये जो बातें हैं या आत्मा का नकारना वो तभी नकारा जा सकता है जब हम प्रतिसमुत्पाद के सिद्धांत को माने। प्रतिसमुत्पाद के सिद्धांत को, वो भी कर्म फल का प्रतिसमुत्पाद, उसको अगर मानेंगे तो हम उसको निषिद्ध किया जा सकता है। क्योंकि अगर बौद्ध धर्म के अगर सार की बात की जाए, भगवान बुद्ध की शिक्षाओं के अगर सार का बात किया जाए तो प्रतिसमुत्पाद प्रमुख है, एक तरह के सार के रूप में। वो प्रतिसमुत्पाद कर्म फल का प्रतिसमुत्पाद प्रमुख है। तो यहाँ पर बौद्ध धर्म के अनुसार भगवान बुद्ध ने खुद नकारा है कि किसी भी प्रकार के बाह्यकर्ता की कोई गुंजाइश नहीं है, कोई बाह्यकर्ता नहीं है कि जो कि इस प्रकार की आत्मा या बनाने वाला कोई हो। भगवान बुद्ध ने स्पष्ट रूप से इसका निषेध किया है। तो जो दूसरे धर्मों में इसकी व्याख्या की जाती है या मान्यता है, तो वो उनका अपना तर्क है, उनका अपना व्याख्या है। तो उससे हमें कोई विरोध या ऐसे करने की आवश्यकता नहीं होती, क्योंकि विभिन्न परंपराओं का अपना एक मत है, तो उनके मत के अनुसार अपनी व्याख्या की जाती है।
नालंदा तब लुजु yapsane songde 다가는 신 토미 구지 아다 드즈자게 숑종야디 패지 조체디 렉자 개탈이야 숑장체 내한테 초고 렉자 캐바든지 아데 스기도 안다 루루 자셔럭 렉자 그게 좀 시디다 다가는 신게 최다게 반대 최다게 상한 남직 레자가 좀 시디 시우지 하고도 없어. 이 레자랑 게다 자르고랑 게도 없어. 뭐네 대바이네 시우지게 다 캐바 시우레샤스 냐무 시우도 없어. 근데 송도와 쟤는 와다 패지 대지 대두 레자게 대 캐바즈 지기다 그게 피준나야 소리 차체가 이두잖아요. 슝드도 제대로 레자 개가래야 장체. 또 아주 별이야. 개가 두르저디 아니 부디자지저리 근주 부디자지. 되네. 루루야 서로서 버다게다 제샤베 땡주 두르저디 부디 니게 있어던지 용도가 자자 어디 다 슝드즈 나로래야 아니 좀 되는 랑기 지다 다 뒤에 슝드즈 나로라 지기 리베 토네 좀제 거야 돼 싫어서 말해 신 대민기다 좀 되는 게 나왔다 지기 리베 로다데 리베 거 되는 송도와 좀제 거야 자 좀제 거는 송이 왜 이러잖아 좀 되는 게 전화 아니 루루 라소바티디기 마 슝송이르잖아요. 다 리베 아니 그게 딱셔쳐야돼 시우지 개심 송도와 개심 못는 것도와 자 뒤에 인도잖아요. 아니 루루 토미기다 제자 아니 로벤 초지랑보다 아니 로벤 최다기 체면슝 수준제체 정도와 아니 지수 별이 앞에 그 캐지 시워서라는 게 아니 참에 대코나니 뛰었으니 되게다 자신이 슝제 아니 콩글로마 별이야다 페뇨와서는 별을 패배 러브 까말시래 아니 콩기기게 캐지 시워서 제샤베 아니 자신 근데와 아니 부디니시 아니 아주 땡유나는데 여러 아주 제야리 내 도스 제뇨 제가 시우지 부탁도 가. 사실은 인도에는 뭐라서 별이야. 남주인이 다 자가다 다시 송주제. 아니 르네 차왕가다 총왕가스. 아니 르네 차왕가 시르잖아요. 아니 참아를 그 로스 장체. 아니 낭외 슝디디 낭들을 것이. 저는 참아고 디디 참아를 것이. 엔더 소리고 자르고 왔어요.人家처음 왔을 송도와. 자들이 아주 별이야. 그러나 레자가다 양세 정도다. 에는 그래. 얘는 갈라바다. 저번에 무슨 패지 별이야. 지라 탑순에 소리도 패지 여섯 마리 누가 제가 아니 장 레자게 다음에 나게 된다 지 되듯이 지 sikhashi 가서다 남기네 거다 그 배주식이 아리 진짜 대학도단들이 아주 믹스해진다 배주게 요말데 이내지 아니 로준 세베 그도라 자리과서 로준 샤르지 아니 네 아니 작가라베 삼성아바디리 내지 TV 다 지사샤 대민도다 아니 지숑나리 이번나시 동변에서 틱 세야되다가 동변에서 진사샤다 지저들이 인데 아주 벽이다 안장야의 쉬야디 표주라는 차샤네 지 땡주 부디 다 니자 사시야 되었다 디디 뭐나라 다 루루로서 디디 레자 슝날 참 디디 대셔교인도 전에 또 리베토는 대셔 때문에 리베토는 좀 그러다 아니 디디도 전에 대안에 좀 된데 랑게네 깔이야 아니 결혼다고 캐는 게 세제다를 세신도 레포다라 나이가 라원차의 규실 민세네 좀 된데 그 깔에 리베첸 리벤나바요나 좀 된데 그 깔에디 자치심바 캐랑도 미롱 제제 대에는 좀 된데 그 지금 왜냐 그거 현다치기 탈 두제 칸도 매바도 되는 송셔버지를 봐도 대 자치심바 캐랑나 룽그 말이스 대를 리변나 받들도 센다 손무도 와 디페지 맨다시르샤 자 디네 일루산에 지 루루 야세다 하고 잔다끼리 다와차바 슝나로라 아니 우모주고 잔데 대주크도라 아니 도 좀된데 까 도트데마 도트 공질로 소거되게 너무 장미 에는 도티디 자치심 박하나 룽그 말레스 체네 에는 넘버 데데 도티샤네 장두이도 룽드서 제스 숨베 도마 장연도 랑지나 도 장도가 우모주고 랑지나 도 장연도 어떤 도데 공제다 어디서 제디 막거도 자자 좀 되는 랑그 깔이네 리베 제가 체네 어다 근데 간디나 송세베 단다디 왜 자치심을 켜라나 리뷰니그레션 독선 송대야지 사들이 디 카르타 타버스는 리벌로 쏘대야지 디디 체멘숑 다 수도 안되게 건드셔야게 체멘숑 수도 그게다 자셔다 디디 말이 디 패진 전문이 되가겠다 주주 망구지에 나라 패질 때에 매달 차듯이
तो अगर नालंदा के विद्वानों की अगर बात करें तो नागार्जुन के बाद
So, with regard to the masters of Nalanda tradition, we have masters like Nagarjuna and his followers, and also Master Sangha and his followers, who wrote their treatises in Sanskrit. And I have some friends, Sanskrit scholars, who have told me that these writings of Master Nagarjuna, such as his Mula Madhyamaka Karika, the fundamental treatise or the verses of the middle way, and also Master Dharma Kirti's Pramana Vartika commentary on valid cognition. These Sanskrit scholars have told me that these are written in a very beautiful Sanskrit composition. They are very beautiful Sanskrit compositions, and they are actually talking from a linguistic point of view. And therefore, in the past, when these masters wrote their treatises, it seems Sanskrit was the language of the scholars in which they wrote their text. And regarding the teaching of the Buddha, in the Tibetan translation, we have in the Kanjur, the translation of the words of the Buddha, over 100 volumes, Tibetan text, and then over 220 exegetical treatises written by Indian masters. And within the words of the Buddha, there are those teachings on the monastic code of discipline, Vinaya, where not much of logical reasoning is used, but then other teachings of the Buddha follow logical reasoning, and therefore in the Nalanda tradition also using logic and reason rather than just resorting to scriptural authority has been considered very important, and therefore Master Nagarjuna and these other masters have written their treatises and with reason and logic. There are texts on logic or epistemology also written by Master Tetnaga, and also Dharmakirti, which are also translated in Tibetan. And later on in the 8th century, as I mentioned earlier, Master Chandarakshita, who came to Tibet in the 8th century, wrote his Tattva Samgraha, compendium of the reality, which is also a text on logic or epistemology. And his disciple Kamalashila wrote a commentary on the difficult points of this text, which is called Tattva Samgraha Panjika. And so these texts are excellent. These are excellent texts written on logic and reason, epistemological texts written by these Indian masters. And in Tibet, we usually count 5 major sciences and 5 minor sciences. Within the 5 major sciences, there are within 5 major sciences, what are included are the study of epistemology or valid cognition, which is in fact enumerated separately from the inner sciences. So, which is also one of these 5 sciences. Inner science is mainly referring to the teaching of the Buddha. And then in Tibet, we also have the tradition of studying traditional Sanskrit based on certain texts which are called Yangjen Dato, which are for learning Sanskrit, and also Kalapa text. Although it seems that the Panini Sanskrit or grammar is not translated in Tibet, and this has not been studied in Tibet. So with regard to the learning of the Sanskrit text, the Sanskrit itself as a language, it's used when there is need for some compositions and not so much otherwise. And me too, I have studied the Kalapa text on Sanskrit, what are known as the 5 sandhis and so forth, from my tutor, Gyabje Lingrambuche. Although I've studied them, nothing is left in my mind regarding the Sanskrit language as such. And therefore, as we usually say in our rituals, and everything dissolves into emptiness, my knowledge that I gained from learning Kalapa and is also vanished into emptiness. And so Master Nagarjuna and so forth used the reason to establish the different points and the truths of the teaching of the Buddha. And even the words of the Buddha is not spared from the critical analysis. And therefore these masters have said that such and such teachings, because they actually go against reason, they are undermined by reason and logic, therefore they cannot be taken as literal teachings. They cannot be taken literally. And for example, in the case of Master Chandrakirti's, Mother Chandrakirti, in his Madhyamaka Avatara, entering the middle way, says that, he mentions that because of this reason, such and such texts cannot be taken literally. And then in his auto-commentary, the commentary by himself on the Madhyamaka Avatara, he mentions that as an example of these such sutras, he mentions the Sandhi Nimochana Sutra, which cannot be taken as cannot be taken literally. And so, if you look at these, even the words of the Buddha are not spared from this critical analysis and saying that they cannot be taken literally. And so, this seems to be there are many among all the religious traditions of the world. This kind of approach to the teaching of the Buddha himself in the Nalanda tradition seems to be something unique.
अगर ये आपकी बुद्धि पर खरा उतर रहा है तो उसे मान लीजिए। अगर आपकी बुद्धि के ऊपर या जब आप परीक्षण करते हैं उसके अनुसार अगर कहीं आपको दुविधा लगती है या उस पर आपकी बुद्धि का एक तरह का विरोध अगर होता है तो उसे नकारने में कोई हर्ज नहीं है। ये भगवान बुद्ध ने स्पष्ट रूप से हम सभी लोगों के लिए ये कहा है कि आप परीक्षण करिए। इसके अतिरिक्त चंद्रकीर्ति के भी ग्रंथ देखें या उनके दर्शन में भी देखें, जैसे कि माध्यमिक के अवतार उसी परिका में भी ये देखने को मिलता है कि खुद उन्होंने भगवान बुद्ध के सूत्रों से कोट किया है कि किस प्रकार से परिचय करें और किस प्रकार से हमें जो स्वतंत्रता दी है कि किसी भी बात को शब्द से नहीं मान लेना चाहिए। उसके अतिरिक्त भगवान बुद्ध ने जो संध विमोचन सूत्र है उसमें भी परीक्षण करने के लिए कि किस प्रकार से जो शब्द से मानना या न मानना किस प्रकार से नकारा जाना चाहिए, वहाँ पर व्याख्या देखने को मिलता है। अगर हम जैसा है वैसा का मान लें, जिस प्रकार से कहा जा रहा है उसी प्रकार से मान लें, तो हमें उसमें ज़्यादा सोच विचार करने की आवश्यकता नहीं होगी। हमारे लिए प्रज्ञा जो कोई प्रमुख होती है उससे कोई लाभ नहीं हो सकता है। इसलिए जो भी ग्रंथ हो, जो भी चीज़ें हैं, उन्हें प्रमाणित तौर पर करना चाहिए, प्रमाणित करके अपनाना चाहिए। तो दुनिया में बहुत सारे धर्म हैं, बहुत सारी परंपराएं हैं, उनमें इस प्रकार की खुली छूट नहीं है कि जो भी हमारे दर्शन या जो भी ग्रंथ हैं उनको आप परीक्षण करके उनको मानो। सिर्फ और सिर्फ भगवान बुद्ध का दर्शन है जिसमें कहा गया कि आप अपनी बुद्धि के अनुसार उनकी जांच पड़ताल कीजिए।
So we'll have a 15-minute break here. Please visit the loo restroom if you want to.
Question, Mendra. So enjoying tea, I would like to take some questions, question answer, till most of the people reach here. Okay.
Okay. Any questions? Anybody would like to ask any questions? Anyone?
Oh, yes.
Go in.
Your Holiness, I would like to know how do you contemplate on death?
Contemplate on
Death.
death. Of course, Buddha's first teaching, Four Noble Truths.
So jamdendegi thoma chogo kolo thoma ko be kabla demba shi ko rusum be kabla dungye ko rusum bares.
One point he mentioned impermanent. Impermanent.
Dungye gi namsha sum be kabla dungye
There are
demba
two
keju
levels.
chikdi midabares.
More subtle level, impermanent means
Midabala
momentarily changing.
Tarang keba yungu
It's
yores.
quite
Midaba tawa di shi sung yung du samba ani keji gin jigba di sung
past
yores.
year, present year, next year.
Kesi pena lo da shamen longa man debe lo da tada
So some sort of change, including our own body. Within 1 year, some change. That change must take place within each month. Each month, change, you see, each day, change take place. Each day, each hour, minute, second. Now, atomic level, actually we can see, in atomic level, always moving, changing, like that. So that is more subtle level, the meaning of impermanence. Then grosser level, yes, spring, summer, autumn, winter, there's some obvious change. Then, you see, another sort of kind of impermanence is like some flower. It firstly grow, then remain for some time, then decaying, then die. So that is the grosser level of impermanence. Now death means, you see, this body, from mother's womb, this body start. Combination of father's semen or mother's blood, go like that. So then remain some time, then gradually decaying. My own sort of case, now decaying. So then end come, that is death. So death means the soul or self no longer continuation, no. According to those traditions, you see, most of Indian traditions is life after life. Some also the tradition, this very life start by God. Many ancient Indian sort of theory. So I think the basis of concept of Atma is life after life. Body change. A certain mind which is based on our brain. That's just one life. So you see concept of Atma, you see come. So now death is part of our life. So in our daily practice, it is very important to reflect on death. And as a matter of fact, you see, our daily practice, certain sort of tantric practice, we deliberately sort of visualize the death process, 8 levels, 8 stages. So the grosser level of element, then grosser level of consciousness dissolving. Kasa dissolving marbe, dissolve sirva, matim dry. So suppose, say, including myself, you see, our daily practice, you see, the visualize this death process is suppose some kind of preparation for actual death. So sometimes, even you see, we develop some kind of the excitement when actual death happen, death come. How much I can practice, like that. So therefore, and then I think basically the concept, you see, life after life, that concept very, very helpful. So that means change this body, not end self. Whether you call Atma or Anatma, the self is there. So self or subtle mind continuation of subtle mind, no beginning, no end. That's Buddhist perspective. And also, I think, Sankhya philosophy, same. Kasa, Dashiri Kibusa Kasa, Sikti. Kemdo, Kirshiguru, Tanjimbe Dashiri Kibusati. Kansa, Dashiri Kibu. Shimwe, the. In Rubushim Duka.
Sanskrit is
Kibu Purush. Oh.
So there is this term which is called in Tibetan Dakshiri Gebu. It's something like conscious self. Or in the Sankhya school, they also use the term pradhan. Pradhan.
Pradhan. Right. The 25
primal factor.
Things.
So according to Sankhya,
are manifestation of that. And once the Purusha realize the very nature of the process, then you see all these as the manifestation gradually dissolve. Then that the kasa so chizo kasa kasa Purusha, only two things remain. That is moksha. So in any way, there are sort of different sort of concept. But you see, all ancient Indian sort of different philosophical views, self, no beginning, no end. So, you see, not much reason to too much worry. Change my body, like clothes become very old, then leave it, new clothes. Something like that. So that also, you see, is quite helpful. Firstly, you see, accept death is part of our life. You can't avoid. Accept that. And then philosophical views, you see, soul or Atma or self, you see, continuously go like that way. Then important is, then the concept of heaven, hell. That concept also very good, I think, whether true or not, something useful. You see, human life, you see, sometimes reason, more intelligent people, reason very, very effective. But sometimes some people, you see, fear also quite useful. So therefore, concept of hell come. Unless you behave well, this very life, you will go to hell. So that brings fear. Out of fear, you may carry some disciplined life. True. So I think for me, I usually say telling people, it is, I think everything, you see, I mean, our attitude towards anything, particularly any problem, should be realistic. The Shantideva, 8th century's Nalanda master, he mentioned when we passing through some difficulties, some tragedy, then analyze. If that tragedy can overcome, then no need worry. You have to make effort with confidence, overcome that tragedy. If the tragedy, no way to overcome, such as death, then no use too much worry. In any way it will come. So then important is while we alive, our life should be meaningful life. Meaningful means you carry your life honest, truthful, compassionate. Then your life. Wait, did I? Chúa lo rồi sao nó on nghe là Chúa lo rồi Chúa suy lo à Chúa lo nghe mà kia Chúa lo anh nghe lên chịu nghe ý là hiện sinh mà đấy. So now second question. What nghe lo thế? His Holiness, can you, Kasa, please tell me the robe, what you are wearing, is of
natural color.
no, they, Kasa.
Natural color use.
Huh?
May I send you a set if you allow me to dye the clothes with natural?
The Vinaya, she mentioned the monk. White color, suppose dress, white color, suppose lay people's dress. So monk, either blue or red and yellow. Sometimes I sort of expressing or mentioning Tibet, cold climate, so more maroon color, more suitable, sun rays absorb more. So we, the yellow, like Thai monk, Sri Lanka monk, or Burma, or all yellow, kasa, they mean saffron sorrow color. And also you see cut, not whole sorrow, kasa yukji, ka. Oh, we should wear there's something cut. So then you see that is for detachment, something whole. You can sell, so you feel more attachment. Already cut, then not much not much basis of attachment. And also, you see, you should wear something very new, new clothes. Actually, something some other people already use and it becomes something quite kasoda. And then wash, make rope, like that. So if you kasa natural color, I send one set. If you allow me, then okay. It is rather foolish, refuse to accept a gift. Meantime, monk, bhikshu, say one cloth or yellow robe, you can keep with feeling, this is mine. Another extra, you must think, this is with others. I mean, that robe belongs to some other people. I simply use, but actually belongs to other. So you cannot emotionally or mentally, you cannot own much thing. Each article, you see, because we have some kind of special blessing. So according to Vinaya, 13 different articles which you can consider mine. All other, you see, thing belongs to other. But if monk, serious monk, should think that way. Among the monk, some are not very serious. Some monk with robe, business-minded. Hakado, Nalanda Shiksha Himalaya Miyuji Shamde Kandra. So, about Nalanda tradition, for that, people from Himalayan, also the range, they say, what is the best to serve? I myself, this is received very important teaching, this including Junju from Kunu Lama Rinpoche. Only, 세상에 the Himalaya refuge 미만주 단 낭주 Nalanda Shiksha 걸 Shantideva 샤베이나 다 변나 나라 차샤나 준주 천배 슝 몽구지 셰루 콘라마를 무지 든지 전제군이 쉬어래 공군어래 표주 리미기 낭된다 캐바래 뭐냐 다네 전주국 선고 냠는 나게지 준주국 냠네 준주 냠네 틸 소원하는 거지. 되네. 쿠노 기시 르지다마. 공 쿠노래. 콩그 종네 렉셔 센딩 속에 슝몽부지 시롱 공자는 게 쉬우래. 제가 먼저 롱보 쿠조 되지네. 뭐냐 전에 지금 담배 샴디 종내기 기부 잡아야 될 정도가. 다다 이네 dansa rimi chaka khalaya kunu kasho kunu tsu nane chi lomnyera pejete nyamnyenche chedenge ta peji jara kashi peji yore ta di ta maungbola tempe shamte chuya tende chutugri ta da kyachi shudi ene sanje ge temba lungdo tobe tempe ni chegi yore 캐쇼 인인기 담배 담주 능력이 롱도 도배 등이도 된지 제바 맞춰봐 주거 쳐봐 코나인 sen 사제 그 담바 롱도 담바도 도배 담바니 야레스 된저기 롱도 그 담바니 우때 지금 진주 배송차 근데 저거라나 롱도 담바디 천년전 롱년전 담바 정거레스 도배 담바디 러버숨 냠린전 너나 롱데뉴스로 천년당 람러버숨 냠린전 에네 산제게 담바 롱도 담바 니우디 진주 배송 지금 디리스 대마도 거치기 탑신 요마레스 딘지 제바 마셔봐 두거셔봐 코나인 sen 송도와 코나 셰베 자되기 측되기 담배 담발이야 에네 천년 시름 니우디 과레스 송모임 이 시름 니우 대 짱짱마도 텔레 셴베 담바 진도 요마레스네 셴데 남주 디송기마 니사 코나세아들라 미덴 남주다 셴데 남주스는 용도가 다들 셴데 남주리 서들이 인도 캐시슈 롬니티아디 캐시슈 장조 서구드네수 미 파면에 마체 산제베셔가 대바치고 샤요래 시다 야고래 얘네 공부도 하가지도 요래 딱 가르 캐시무도 없으면 로종 샤디 캐시무래 로종 샤디 대강 안한지 로종 포문제 로종 파즈 또 lomni cha sigiyarwa. Di nge kya gyuchu dambari, rabchung masu yinjimi ji pesh dagwaris. Da gishi ma tuyungu yare. Oda 대상도 마세베 미겨 포무즈에 베제테체 산지의 추 학화시 산지의 추 균제 컨트롤이요. 산지의 추이 냠는잖아. 지금 로로요 그릇 두고요. 어다 디기 이니 심 기버 그릇 준비요. 디기 시에 제제. 도선에 산지의 담바가 시에 태워타고 주나. 담바 유른도 내기. या जुर्षिता
यहाँ पर प्रश्न आया था कि जो हिमालय क्षेत्र से कि मैं बौद्ध धर्म में अपना योगदान किस प्रकार से कर सकता हूँ.
So the question regarding this, how to serve the Himalayan people through the Nalanda tradition. And His Holiness said, regarding myself, I received very important teachings in the Nalanda tradition from masters who have come from the Himalayan regions of Kinnaur, for example. I received the teachings on the Bodhisattva Charya Avatara from Kunu Lama Tenzin Gyaltsen, and who was from Kinnaur, and he was someone who actually practiced all the Tibetan Buddhist traditions without sectarianism, and his main practice was the cultivation of bodhicitta. And then Geshe Rinzin Tempa was another one who also came from Kinnaur, and from him I received teachings and transmissions of, for example, the text by Master Tsongkhapa, the Golden or Garland, which is a commentary to Abhisamaya Alankara. And so, if you, these are two examples of great beings who have actually come from remote countries in Himachal Pradesh, in the Himalayan regions, and so they have served the Dharma well. And then, of course, today also we have many, maybe over a few hundred people, monks from these regions, Kinnaur and Spiti regions, who are studying in the monastic institutions, and they in the future will become people who will serve the Dharma well as well. And so, with regard to the preservation and promotion of the Dharma, the teaching of the Buddha, what Master Vasubandhu has said in his Abhidharma Kosha Karika is the teaching of the Buddha is twofold: scriptural and realization. And it is only through study and practice that we should preserve this teaching. And so, what this shows, and the term, particularly the word "only," is a very significant word here. What he's saying is that there is no other means than through study and practice, and in order to preserve the scriptural teachings and the realizational teachings. Apart from that, there is no other means. And so, scriptural teachings are preserved through study, dissemination of the teachings and discourses, and then the realization teachings or the doctrine should be attained through the practice of the three trainings. And so Master Vasubandhu here, by saying only through study and practice the teaching of the Buddha can be preserved, means that he's not saying these two, the study and practice, are necessary, only necessary, but that there's he's using it as a term which excludes any other means than study and practice. And then the people from Himalayan regions, it's important for you, as I've been telling you many times, that you need to pursue the study of the Dharma, so that you could actually become people who preserve and promote the Dharma. Traditionally, of course, in our regions, even in Tibet and Himalayan regions, monks were the only people who were seen as the ones who did their studies, and it was left to the monks to do the study of the Dharma. But after coming into exile in India, I have changed this tradition, and I have urged even the nuns to study the Buddhism, Buddhist philosophy, and so forth. And therefore, even the lay people, men and women, you also should engage in study of the Dharma, and then make transformation within yourself, so that you can be a happier people. And so, in this way. In this way, if you could study and preserve the teaching through understanding based on reason and logic, then you'll be able to have some impact on the preservation of the Buddha Dharma, that it may live long on this earth, otherwise not.
Kasha, any the other pity, Raya, Drudge, Chichibukudu, Rojanga Jelche, and make you Coxa Yaba, Coxa, and not the chooks there. She was named Washington, Coxa, he was there, Magung and washing yard, and was a charge, Padimito, and not Chaton, and then comes if there was. Sanjivich, the Chorvas, Nangwarvas, like, was a number in Insa. On a Nangwecher, the Kares, Kistin, Nangwecher Kares, Nangwecher, the in Bodham Shannon Gacham and Damosan Gacham and Sakosan Gacham, Nangwecher Reza, what the raging. On a Buddha said the Karis were raging. Shigimesa. This was it issue the any Buddha, any Brahma, the Chigwar Wrestler, Vishnu, the Chigwar Wrestler, the Chigwar Resa, and those Shamrishurta, those Zorsi. Jasaga, the Chigda, the Buddha Dharma Sangha Sin, Kimne Chigyar. Give some Yokoya the Kimzen Kare, give some more the Kare, give some. Do the Canada and Chong Redam, Takwe, and Shijere, that did it in some Tangova, Javachen. Or then, Sanjay Jumden there, and Ranzuba, Gurakivakindo, so the Rim Sanamado, Lobson Chen, Shempacha, the Kashim Shadesha.
So when I was going to Kelang or Spiti region, I passed the Rotang Pass and then reached the Koksa region village, and in that village, I think it's called Sisur or something, and in that village I met the local villagers and some of whom I already knew from the past. And so when I was there, I met them in a group, and then I asked them, "Are you Buddhist?" And they said yes. And in that case, what is Buddhism about? And they said it's about taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And I said, yes, you're right. But who is a Buddha? And what is Buddha? And they said they don't know. And when I asked whether the Buddha and the Brahma and other deities are same or not, and they said yes, they are same. And so by giving that answer, I mean, actually, it's a shame that they said this. And what we need to, and what I want to say is that as Buddhists, when we say I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, the three jewels, and what you should actually understand is what the three jewels are. What is the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and how does someone reach the state of a Buddhahood or Sanghahood, or how does someone realize the Dharma within oneself? What are the causes and conditions that leads to these three jewels? And and so forth, and whether the Buddha is a permanent being or not. I mean, what we need to do is to understand through reason what the three jewels are. And so somebody asked about our mind and how, and then there's also its relation to the Atma. And from the Buddhist point of view, for example, if we have a flower changes momentarily. So when we talk about changing momentarily, what it shows is that it has a continuity in it. And so that continuity in a flower, or in the case of a consciousness, could be said to be its nature. And so the fact that the flower or the consciousness changes momentarily, moment by moment, is its nature.
तो इस प्रकार की जो परिवर्तन है, एक प्रकार के जो स्थूल परिवर्तन है, जो कि आंखों से हम थोड़ी देर बाद इनका या काफी समय के दौरान इसका अनुभव कर सकते हैं। बाकी का जो सूखना इसका या मुरझाना, वो भी इसमें क्षणिक, एक प्रकार का क्षणिक परिवर्तन या क्षणिक जो अनित्यता है उसमें देखने को मिलती है। इन दो प्रकार से इन अनित्यताओं को क्षणिक और स्थूल या सूक्ष्म, इन दोनों को समझना चाहिए, क्योंकि जो चित्त है उसकी संतति हमेशा एक प्रकार, जिस प्रकार से पानी की धारा प्रवाहित होती रहती है, उसी प्रकार से एक चित्त की संतति होती रहती है। इसी प्रकार से इसको समझना चाहिए।
So now I will start the teaching. The Shantideva's Kunala Maramachi Tenzi Janza Kundunenge Junju Shivare Kunala Maramachi the Sons any Turu Gavanala any Gombushole Junju Zavimare. The two tenants on the Tatabodo and Chanju Samjong, Howard Tashinyamji, Chanju Samjongi, Yamin Dambishum, Dilahaji, Chunga Mares and Songdua, the Dabarisha.
तो अब यहाँ पर मूल ग्रंथ का प्रारंभ करूँगा।
And so now we'll go through the text, Bodhisattva Charyavatara. Regarding this text, I received the transmission and the teaching on it from Lama Rinpoche Tenzin Gyaltsen. And he told me at the time that since the 8th century, when Shantideva wrote this text, there has not been any greater text than this for the development and practice of bodhicitta. And so this seems to be true.
And Sandu Zajugi, any Nalanda Shiksha, Shiksha, or the D in Deva 전주 섬들이 사지요래 어디나라 아니 dakshaya nyamche kwa di sungduwa. Da digi pe kung dosa lurugu shung didiri. Digi digi ya, eni kung dosa di pechi chanju sem, da pege nyamnen kwa tenbe da shung, eni do pebuche, do pechin di chanju sembe da nyamnen cheya da shung zo cha digi yore. Eni shigang da shijingi shung nalo le, eni semji고 어디다 숙성부터 하는 거지. 어쨌든 간다 도 렌즈 도신 공디를 차디하래. 다텔라 산지 좀 된데 뭐버저거 산 대마타도 아니 서시저저에서 드머체 두스대비 최시 코요니 술을 땡겨 코 메뉴에 매만 나이나도 내가 자세는 송도와 서버 쇼 저거다 저 되게는 왜서 드머체 통모인배다 되게 그게 다 가시고 그게 냠내겠네 쇼거를 되게 배다 매도 주면다 직성 동초 되지 아니 좀 더 그런 거다 그게 토마입니다 꾸준한 꾸준이야 뒤에야 다 공진나니 다가 있는 거 맞고 상계에서 인도산에 딘디지게다 뒤지대로 최신의 예송스 이니 뒤니 그게 고통해지다 로리아 중에지 카고레샤 근데 이 리식이니 최수구멘스 다티 손데 다 대세 대주 야가리아 다음에 배다와 사지 야마와 또 다도 다 그래타는 로들이 와 그래서 인도산에 ene dādu mebe dāwa tēnsē yu jī, nēdu rōng jī, dā rishik mindu wu chān, dā rī sōng yī bārī. Tēne rīmbē kī, ene jī dūshē tēndē pā, jīm tēndē lā tū kāsō hē, dā dūwē jī kī dā, chūgū dōngu kōwa chā wō sōngā rō tēndē kī tōne dūwē, dā jīm tēndē rāng, jī ngūmī kī dā, namsa shē, dūs chēn rūdū, ene jīm tēndē kōrī yā, dūshē kōrō pā lē yu zāne, 이 디디기 점대를 배치도 그게 넘버 2. 그다음에 당에 대화. 아니 이지 대화. 되네 문득이 대화. 도스는 레이도 전에 아니 점대기 아니 유와르나스리아 대시 총고 송이 있어요. 다 대시 총고에 배산계기 처기 심어를 들어도 와. 산계기 처기다 심어 멍실. 다들 가서 빨리 슝데리 denshi thane da nyamne cha dagarai da chagi yari denshi meta so juju ani digi pa kom jeng nyamle man jin du sane ani changso so dung lang ko thane da nyamne cha da di jigju re do wa pali shungna le yete ba da di besanji ki chu mongshi cha de yari ngara zo ya ring ga she ani tengmen tekjin sin yoro shi u che mu do wa 된 논주르샤 가다 빠리기 슝디 산지기 주 멍시 차대요래 되네 아니 뒤접에 오모야 양지 영럽 오모 너무 이거도 좋잖아 다 담바시 나네 고베 담바세야지 송도와 고베 담바세야지 송요래 고베 담바모도 접어라 람지 담바모도 접어야지 람지 담바세야겠다 람디 아니 지 타버 주지 그 람잠 모임바 다도 검데 러버숭은 안에 싫어고 러버디 다 개시샤가 인데 다다 녀몽 뭐지 녀모디 띵즈가 러버 말이 추르고 러버 말이 싫어고 러버 차대요래 근데 이르산에다 싫어고 러버디 아니 시서 뭐지도 배 개하다 좀 된데게 배 실차고 돌아봐 대세견샤다디 시징 슝 차대요래 디니 저기 남산 내 당고배 지금 로 남산지 주야다 된지 매댕에 애니까다 지금 사다 매다 아니 된지 지금 다 코조 뒤베기야 숭샤샤제 다어디 아니 자고 분구를 아니 시징 쇼거데 송인 거래 너도 공적이 나네 아니電子コロ単語電子총거스 콜로 바로 다 천년의 청고서 내다도 시진기 청고를 되는 콜로 타마 유 양보장을 속에 내 내밀이야 아니 야 디지시고 인군 돈을 써봐 다가는 시기 아니 너도 공제다 대주제 아니 숨제 청고를 뭐 숨세 숨도 봐 다 디디 내 면자리 뒤제 면자야리 근데 인도 좀전되기 마 송야기 제저들이 섭도 심해 소리다 지기 다시 면자야리 너 근데 인도산에 시진기 슝도 제디 아니 용자체네 패지다 송지 패지 말에就是来到我的送去的，真正印度用这个陆剧的那个，你可以买了钱。真正印度陆住没中国呢，西晋的兄弟的上这个干嘛的事？啊，特别是呢，他特别从上这干嘛的事？他做城市重要的西晋都是这里，西晋都是这上这干嘛的事呢？说明真正特别是呢要的。냐마 루지지 딱 로타지 10주권을 내가 지 프로페서 지금이 같이 토를 제가 세븐천기 그래서 한글이니 뭐요 한글이는 남배치고 지 장대로 지 프로페서지 어디든 나 다섯 기술 중에 산지 중된데게 아니 레자께 좀 말이스 산지 중된데 레자께 킹 말이사 지라들 수도 딱고 진짜 레자학 shum이 여디디 아니 치수 지고를 모두 좀 전에 그 까마레스니 데리스동에도 와. 다 캐치 제대로 따고. 치 레자이 nen다 바리 nen다 체크면도 제대로 상담나. 시진기 슝기 나네 너무 동분이고 거는 대셔겨버 디디 매나 콜로 담을 거리야. 니는 거보고 때보고 오시는 송샤디 할람 다 룽정을 껴서 치야마도 리베토네 거보에 때보셔야지 용시고 거보에 때보 리베토네 주토야 가오샤리죠. 자, 지리인도 레자가 슝즈 나로라 아니 리베 주야디 숙성샤야래. 배나 대시미다서 주로 다른 시기에는 장소소도 다 드즈제디 아니 퍼진기 슝다 세면 슝 나로다 드즈제 대시 14호 15주다 아니 저 아니 대시미다서 주로 세즈제디 리베람네 아니 때나 보야시도와 그러나 반대 처자가 제셔베 아니 참한 남지기 아니 참아주기 리우나 차샤나다 리베 좀니 실수는도 대들이 인도산에 어다 간다지 제자도 스텝이나 아니 콜로 담불거로 송셔버 디디 콜로 발베크도를 때 디베 뭐네 직베 까네 내가 쳐서 디디 14부터 좀 제시해야지 다 디디 막 공지 루루 연설로서 디디는 제셔버 디디 인다 할래버리셔 봐 자들이 인도 룽상을 띄어서 치워 모임을 리베람네 내버려야 지기 딘지기다 산지를 추주 대 배지 레자를 추주를 된 거야 레자를 추주 아니 루루야서로서 디디기 쉬운데 가장 개시 버리셔 어디지 다 안들디 준주디 이노 콜로 타메 거도리야 아니 디시시베 인분도 선에 유라메 시사자연 도데 콜로 타면 나리야 즉 선선의 슝들이 용기하래 변은 도도 공제되고 야래 다 디시베 인분도 되지 뭐요 유라메 시사자연 도데 다 콜로 발레 금의 송샤베 정심에 따왔다가 차대기 야래 다디 따와디 공경기 로 아니 로디 다디 그들이야 아니 유지회에서다 유진거에서 니체네 콜로 발베크도 유지회세디 때나파 다 콜로 숨버스네면도 콜로 타메크도리아 딘데기 유지회세 그 등리도 여대고 유지회세가 정신도 여대기 셈 정신이 회사와디 존도지 조용도 어디를 샤 자들이 인데 벽이 개발지가 송야래 콜로스부디 구리마도 때 세윤도 전에 배나 라톰보신 자고 주는 삼마선에도 헛카리야 토보디 누구 말했어 리메리메야 토로 신체니 라케야도 야래서 듣는 신체니 도마 대시 전거체 되네야도 sia 아니 고된다 남자자 이티 샤바도 소도치 되네야 아니 유지교에서 남샤티 있어 되네야도 전에 아니 나서 대셔체니 어다 로다는데요 드리지레 신 표기 개발지 송야래 때문에 상다도가 드리르샤 자 드리인도 슝도스 상황지 유여체 지금 또 토나로체 유여주는 애는 산지 그때 뭐 용서버디 뭐 공지 직용도 애는 개발하고 싶어요. 그러다 좀 전에 까이네 그 내가 직장장야 숨체 단지 좀 전에 까리서 뒤지고 삼대베이는 야 그때 뭐 용서로 거쳐야 돼 가오르샤 또 지 안드셔야 콜로숨 디디 거라고지 야오지 차베이나요 개발사요. 애는 방과를 나는서 표 강쟁의 종이네 대나리네 일본도 안에 상하체 야래 또 상하체 뒤에 그 안도 콜로숨기 남샤 숨셔 뒤 야오지 거차게 터네 아니 상하네 베겸나 상하고 최소 소원시용 그래 어디 콜로숨기 남샤 뒤 야오지 거서 마셔지 야오지 마시면서 아니 하루씩 공제 나루씩 장지 시베이나 민다데 상하고 최소 숨기도 파샤네 최소 소마소의 대성제 자 드리인도 공단을 묻히기 안다 표지 개발지다 공급 송샤디 상하 대양 차기建设당 세던 노주 온도 먼저서 천대 차라 코너 겨와니 사쇼 산된 소라 전자에 최경에서 주고 마치 안 송도가 다디가서 내가야다 아주 김산지인이 샵대는 던지슈에 아니 체전 부용야 노르쳐 부용야 아니 다 파제마야 수잔다 소소 마가세 다디 아니 매워차야 다 드즈테 아니 시우지 제베이나 아니 최소 송규 상하고 최소 상하고 최를 누구도 파샤네 최소 소마소 태송제 저 땜버지 고차가 더네 아니 오만의 숨쉬고 디디기 썩게 고마고마를 창대게지다 도시야 서도 로토 중앙에는 아니 뭐냐 자네게 대바 용서로 고차 대바 용서비 냠니 대도지가는 뒤도 중앙에는 아니 최소 송 택신이 최 전주선배 최소 상하고 최소 송지 아니 용서가 용거리 디케쳐 버리셔
तो जैसे कि यहाँ पर कहा कि नागार्जुन की रत्नावली कि बोधिचर्या अवतार के स्रोत के रूप में देखा जाए तो
So with regard to the sources, the source text for Master Shantideva to write on Bodhisattva, to write this Bodhisattva Charyavatara, we have the source in Master Nagarjuna's two different texts basically, which are the jewel garland or the precious garland, and the Bodhicitta Vivarana, the commentary on the awakening mind, and which is a commentary or based on a commentary on certain chapter of certain sections of Guhya Samaja Tantra, touching on the Ratna somehow Virachana or some deity, and therefore in the second text by Master Nagarjuna, which is Bodhicitta Vivarana, the commentary on awakening mind, it teaches the exchange of self and others, which is a method of cultivating bodhicitta through exchanging and equalizing oneself and others. And as to the Master Nagarjuna's sources for teaching on bodhicitta. It comes from Avatamsaka Sutra, and Avatamsaka Sutra is the teaching of the Buddha, which is a text for the cultivation of bodhicitta. And then you will find also in great detail in the Prajnaparamita Sutras as well. And so these are giving the different sources as to the practice that is given in Bodhisattva Charyavatara and Master Nagarjuna's text in the sutras and in the exegetical texts. And when the Buddha, after becoming enlightened, the Buddha stayed away from giving teachings. And at that time he said, this profound, peaceful, which is also free from elaborations or fabrications, this clear light and uncompounded phenomena, which is like a phenomena which is like a nectar that I have found. And even if I were to teach others, there will be no one who will be able to understand it. Therefore, I will not teach, but stay in silence in the forest. And so the Buddha was referring to here is mainly the teaching or the understanding and this profound insight into the emptiness. Of course, the Buddha himself became such a realized, enlightened being after having gone through countless lifetimes during which he had trained himself on the path to enlightenment, and therefore, having trained himself for over so many eons and eons and many lifetimes, what he finally discovered in terms of this emptiness and the uncompounded clear light, which is profound, peaceful, and without any elaboration or fabrication. He says there's no people or beings who are receptive to this teaching. Therefore, I will not teach. And but as time went on, the Buddha started giving teaching, and as he gained of course, he became self-ordained, and then he was able to gather disciples, monastics, and therefore monastic system also developed. And then the Buddha, because the disciples had become kind of receptive to his teaching through the threefold faith, the faith which is admiring faith, and then there's the confidence or trusting faith, and then the aspiring faith. Through these, the disciples became receptive to his teaching, and therefore he gave teaching on the Four Noble Truths, which form the fundamental teaching of the Buddha. And then we should also understand that the Four Noble Truths and their 16 characteristics or attributes, and also the 37 aids to enlightenment, and which are taught in the Pali tradition, they become the foundation of the teaching of the Buddha. So the Pali tradition, sometimes people talk about the Hinayana, Mahayana, and there's some kind of attitude of discriminating those who are called or known as Hinayana practitioners. And this must not happen. This is not good, because the teachings that we find in the Pali tradition form the foundation of the teaching of the whole teaching of the Buddha. And so, for example, in the first turning of the wheel of Dharma, the Buddha taught the Four Noble Truths, within which there is the teaching on this true cessation. And true cessation is said to be developed and cultivated through the true path. And regarding the path, it's not just the path which is which comprises the training of morality or concentration, but mainly it has to do with the training of wisdom. And so, with regard to developing this wisdom of the wisdom realizing the selflessness, although in the Four Noble Truths teaching there is the true cessation and true path, but it is more explained in greater detail in the perfection of wisdom teachings. And so, since the teachings of the perfection of wisdom sutras are difficult to fathom for those who are not receptive it, the Buddha didn't give it in public, but he gave it to a few select disciples, and at the Vulture Peak or Vulture Mountain. And from this, what we see is that the Buddha gave the three turnings of the wheel of the Dharma. The first turning of the wheel has its subject matter, the Four Noble Truths, and then in the second turning, the perfection of wisdom teachings, and then within the third turning of the wheel of Dharma, which was given in different places, and one of the places is Vaishali, and also at different times also there are teachings which come under this the turning of the wheel, such as the Tathagata Garbha Sutra also was given. And so these teachings that were given in the three turnings of the wheel of Dharma were, if you look at the subject matter they have covered, and you'll see how there's a progression along the progression from the first teaching to the second and then the third turning of the wheel in terms of profundity. And so the turning of the perfection of wisdom teachings were not given in public, but and therefore, even before Master Nagarjuna came, we find arguments as to say that the teaching, these perfection of wisdom teachings, were not the words of the Buddha, and therefore Master Nagarjuna had to argue for these teachings being the words of the Buddha. And for about 30 or 40 years ago, I met some Hungarian scholar who told me that the Buddha actually didn't speak Sanskrit at all. And so, according to such scholars, the Sanskrit was, not the language the Buddha used to give teachings, but it developed later, after the Buddha. But what we need to look at is the content of these teachings that we have, the profound, and if you look at the teaching of the Buddha with regard to the profound teaching on emptiness, it would be very difficult to explain the true cessation, which is also taught in the Four Noble Truths, as part of the Four Noble Truths teaching, to explain it thoroughly without the Sanskrit tradition teaching the emptiness. And so Sanskrit tradition is a tradition which emphasizes logic and reason. And even in the case of the making points of the different attributes, the 16 attributes of the Four Noble Truths, reason is used rather than just resorting to scriptural authority. And therefore, if you look at Pramanavartika, the second chapter, especially by Dharmakirti, he uses reason to prove the impermanence and the suffering nature and so forth of the Four Noble Truths. And therefore, in the second turning of the wheel of Dharma, the emphasis is given on reason to establish the different points and elaborate the true cessation, and then Master Nagarjuna and other texts written in Sanskrit tradition of Buddhism not only resorted to scriptural authority, but they considered reason more important, very important. And then within the third turning of the wheel of the Dharma, there is, as said earlier, there are different sutras taught. One of them is Sandhi Nimochana Sutra, which is the elucidation of the thought of the Buddha, and which teaches basically the Chittamatra philosophical view. And then within that there is a third turning of the wheel. There is also the sutra, Tathagata Garbha Sutra, the essence of the Tathagata. And in this second text, sutra, what is emphasized is the subjective mind which realizes emptiness. Although the ontological status, the emptiness itself of phenomena is taught elaborately in the second turning. In this third turning, the Tathagata Garbha Sutra elaborates on the subjective mind, which is the clear light mind realizing emptiness. And so regarding this, one of the Tibetan Tibetan scholars have said that just as if you wish to climb a mountain, you can't just reach the top just like that, but you need to climb from the bottom of the mountain and upwards. And so likewise, the teachings of these three turnings of the wheel of the Dharma must be seen as a progression along the path. And the Four Noble Truths, of course, teach the emptiness, and then in the second turning, this ontological status of emptiness, of phenomenal emptiness, is taught, and then the third turning teaches the clear light, which is subject to mind realizing emptiness. And so there is progression along the progression and from the grosser teachings to the subtler ones in these three turnings to the wheel of the Dharma. And so what this Tibetan master has said is actually true. And so what we need to do is make ourselves familiar with the different texts contained in these three turnings of the wheel of the Dharma, and so that we don't resort only to scriptural authority, but even in the case of the teaching of the Buddha, the teachings are the teachings on emptiness is something which is very profound and difficult. And so, if you understand the general structure of the teaching of the Buddha based on the three turnings of wheel of Dharma, you will have quite a good understanding of what the teaching of the Buddha is about. And so otherwise, sometimes when we do tantric practices without understanding the basic structure of Buddhism, it becomes very difficult to gain any realization or a real insight into the tantric teachings. Instead of being able to use tantra in a more profitable or correct and proper way, sometimes we misuse tantra for gaining money and wealth and power and so forth. And so that is totally wrong. And therefore, we need to develop a true understanding, correct understanding of the teaching of the Dharma, so that what is Dharma becomes a Dharma for us, and especially what is Mahayana teaching becomes a Mahayana teaching for us, and then the Tantric teaching becomes a real Tantric teaching through our own practice. Otherwise, we tend to misuse the Tantra. And so Gongdang Tenpe Dweme had said that sometimes people use Tantra for some performing certain rituals for worldly people. And it is, of course, the Tantric teaching is spread in different countries as well, such as Japan and Tibet and Mongolia. And so it's quite, the practice is quite prevalent, but without really being able to practice it correctly, it becomes very difficult to call yourself a practitioner of Tantra or Mahayana or even the Buddha Dharma. And so Gongdang Tenpe Dweme has mentioned that by misusing Tantra for gain in this life alone, it is like turning this sandalwood into a charcoal.
प्रज्ञा प्रधान भगवान बुद्ध का दर्शन से संगीत सुनना चाहिए। तो हमें जितने भी पुद्गल हैं, जो भी धर्म अनुयायी हैं, प्रमुखता से धर्म की शिक्षाओं को उसके बारे में जो कहा गया उसको समझने की ठीक से कोशिश करना चाहिए। और इन जो हमारे प्रथम धम्मचक्र उपदेश 16 जो आकार 37 बोधेंगे, इन दोनों इनको आधार मान करके इसका अभ्यास करना चाहिए। तभी जाकर के जो बोधिचित्त क्या है इसके बारे में हम अच्छी तरह से समझ सकते हैं।
So
someone is asking if he actually gave the reading transmission of this text, chapter 4.
And Junju Liu Chusung Yare. That day, Liu Ju Nane, Liu Gubadigi, and Kansaga Tameta, Choji Dame Kosuni, Tava Kosung Yare, 더 루루 yap세 다 공부 잡에 뭐 공부 지시 뭐 자야래 반전 다 잡에 슝다 tumbu shaya liu guba digi dungni guwa song. Shen liu lama digi changchu samchung guwa zogo re. Sa da changchu samchung guwa di tabji cha re. Eni shirabu liu dungni guwa songa di shirabu cha re. Dendreki tabshigi lamni saya di eni shi ngube nesu liya shi nesu khora liya 능수 직다 내수 직 니도가 자 달래야 아니 시간 무디고 좀 나라래 담담다바스 아니 그조다바스 타냐데 다바니 남샤지 용기 여서래 다 가다 남베 아니 두도마와 시체 시자로게 다바니 남샤 숨기야래 다 데니 남샤 리베 남네 네버 정주여다바 gendu tsaane meteba chikdi ume shungne sungshabeta teniki namshati ta chabi yare saa dede yindu kanda chigi nangsugi chigi chojen kita nangsugi di thane rangda, shanda ane dewa tab tunga sayajidi yungu yare da di digi thane ane rang chibla zibati ane shanyang pung rangyang pula pung zhuaya chigi xian jiban zibati en rang ngone chane ke sam la ning do ge sam la shi di le ya mi zi tan de ba jong ya xian le yin ne mu ju ji de ge ta ne xian la pan de zhu ya ji gi yong ge ye yin de zan ne en rang jiban zibati la gyun zen mang gu ta ne 그 경계 받을 쪽 현재를 ዝበ어디 균제 મં구 토네 차다 윤라 그게 레서 가서다 레서 타다 주지가 싸워르디 현재를 ዝበ어 이모디 다 조직배 토네 다 주샤디 다 준주를 하고 패지 요마리 어다 탑기차 낭초가 토네 어다니 라진지기 된 현진지기 연대 디송은 타고 현집에 장주었음 따따나 호야 디송이야래 아니 류고버디기 최전 나서고 디디 인로 컨디션에서 파자주지 뭐 자주 제외 있나 최전 라랑 능주 담을 예버디 코란 그 내로스 주버를 했을라나 봐 엔 지금 나서 연대하디 상부 내루스 주가 냠베 내루스 주가 집에이나 애니 패지 줘야디 맞아요래 줘야 이거 먼저 통도 봐. 자, 뒤에 이르자네 고 가다 능술이었다. 지 최전 나서고 라랑게 지금 뭐다 첼레다 주던 대부분 맨날 여러디 이니 디기티 나왔다도 애니 뭐니 주거지 에이메 다 sometimes 제일잖아요. 그 나좀 대 맞으면 그 인루를 제일 못 봐. 다 인루를 제배 로되기 다 내야 돼. 능수 좀 많이 봐. 그래 된기 인루도 시기 되잖아요. 대 애니 단담담 봐서는 터도 인루 시셔야 돼. 다 될어야. 다 딘디 다 될 딘디기다 가서 우리 네루디 셰베 로티 애니 가다 그다 딘디기 동번이 그 따와 딘디지 용 거야 그 균전데 타니 군족이 뭐네 상당한다 지기 애니 주든 대우스는 예대와 디디기 다 상부 주디디 근데 전에 것도 와 되게 안다 쉬하게 배나 현진지 사도 돼 다전에 지기 동해영야기 냠배 주디 두두 파파 짜이르잖아 란진지 거의 파파 상담에나 나오냐배로 슉슉부치니 근데 그 돈에 용되기도 와 뭐시 십제 거네 샤오촌나 다야 낭식이 야고 먹고 치고 그래디 네 지우지 샤베이나 란치를 준비로 때다 ngao nyambe lo nga tsukdu ba shadeba te nang da dambar zimbe lo dita rang jinzi wuti peji be 직접 chigi 되게 직접 지급에 다 제체 네 간다 직접 그게 라다전 대회에서 폐지 열이 자 다디 현진지 공배탄에 란진진기 바 텐된 제체 네 란진진기 로래야 직급의 소스 견도 통야지 답시 직체 란진진기 배 차로로 배 개부로 랑 담브르즈비 덴진 텔라야 아니 랑 지전 나왔나시 다 야마레스 최탐절로 나왔다도 두야마레스 어다 두세네 딘디게 네루셰베 로테기 아니 랑이 담브르즈베로다 셴야 차단께서 유디디 담브르 매바지기 롤도 슬레이드자네 아니 그 견쟁게 로디디기 상말로 다도 준비 댄지의 제니 용되기도가 르르르와 지신도 띠무군을 내교대스 디진용문 탐색에 띠무점에 점벌교로 쓰는 우모십집에 나와서 해야 되리 봐 녀문 껴나 멀리 지소로 따르죠 로요 통주시 소원난 신기 간단 풍지기다 로 녀문사디 되기 취미 이식 남도가团에 녀문이 되기야다 취미 이식 남도기야가 싸워대 유치들 담버 나왔나시 담버 집으로 텔로 토인 거 요지 고 세워요. 디 천지부터 되게 시기도 같아. 봐. 아니 지들 나왔나시 두면지 야 퀀텀 피직스 토네 라초인 것도. 자, 근데 이번 이르잖아요. 어다 아니 데 가서 우리 그게 낭섬 대머신 걸 돈이 인루 그들 유미 죄를 내야 돼. 다 가다 모니 주변에 똥좀 지게다 똥것이 rol고 샤야죠. 다 뒤리 쉽죠. 다그 시루리 장장 대외 평말에 아니 루루 옆에서 슝디디 땡 거로 삼다 뒤체에 있는 아니 신내식 저가야 지다 저로 거로 가는데 아니 섬을 땡땡 요어야지 그 영향요래. 나중에 이번 인도잖아요. 또 주주 lưu 되게 탑지 쳐다 싫어고 쳐 니송도 와. 또 탑도 싫어져야 돼. 뭐변 내줄 능주 따도 그 두매 정신제직 내주 따라 두매 루직 소로직 드리직 싫을 때문에 이거 인도잖아요. 든리기 구조가 나와 뒤뒤가 타네 여러 그 상도하지 아니 탑지 쳐거든 냠내직 다한테네 미대 시기하기 싫어고 저거 냠는 지야지 어다 덴적이 냠는 탑시니 덴적이 냠는 탑시니 될 때네 데뷔 내걸이야 아니 샨드 탑지체 샨드 수구주야 싫어고 차대기 랑도 추구주야 제체 어딘데 숨겨야래 자 딘데 인도 고불루주기 상제 남제 쉬었다 봐 담반이라 양다 댄스 지금 구조 때마다 담배도 이제 때마다 오시는 사실은 소원은 시체니 산재의 추부 제리시도시 수고티디 자어되니 대니를 때는 송여를 했으니 어디 뒤송도 와. 또 시르고 가서 이 준주 lưu 주되기 단다 대체에 쳐다 탑지 쳐 가서 대체에 쳐다 시르고 쳐 서버 시르고 쳐지는 어떤 일이죠.
पिछली बार बुद्धचर्या अवतार का यहाँ पर उपदेश अध्याय नंबर 3 तक हो चुका था तो फिर उसके बाद
So, with regard to the text, I will not go through each and every verse or line in the text, Bodhisattva Avatara. In other words, I will not give a reading transmission as such, but give some brief explanations of the text. Bodhisattva Avatara, Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life, comprises 10 chapters, and the 9th chapter is actually about wisdom, and the wisdom realizing selflessness and emptiness is thoroughly explained, and this chapter actually explains thoroughly the tradition of the view of emptiness according to Nagarjuna, and in accordance with the Master Nagarjuna and Master Chandrakirti's views as well. Madhyamaka view, the middle way view. And then the rest of the 10 chapters touch on what is known as the skillful means or method part of the practice. And therefore, within our practice of the Dharma, we need to combine both the method and wisdom. And so in order to combine these two, method and wisdom, what we have to understand is that on the basis level, as on the ontological status of the things, there are two things we need to understand. One is the appearance nature, and then the other is the how things actually are. And so accordingly, we have the teaching on the two truths. And all the regarding the two truths, the conventional and ultimate truth, all the four Buddhist philosophical schools actually assert two truths, and also the two truths are taught in other traditions as well, non-Buddhist traditions as well. But in order to understand the two truths precisely and thoroughly, it can be understood on the basis of understanding the Madhyamaka philosophy, the middle way philosophy, following Master Nagarjuna's tradition. And so regarding the two truths, what we can understand is that there is an appearance nature, and because of how things appear to us, ordinary beings actually cause more trouble because they actually consider or regard what appears to be the real truth, and therefore all kinds of troubles are caused. And we also cause pains towards ourselves and others because of our self-cherishing attitude. And then a self-cherishing attitude can be overcome by thinking about the faults or the disadvantages of it by using various means or reasons, and understanding that it is a source of trouble for us and all beings. And then to counter it, we cultivate this cherishing others to be more important oneself. And here also the advantage of cherishing others can be proved through various, numerous reasonings. And so regarding this practice of called cherishing others over oneself, or and reasonings behind the proof, reasonings to prove that self-cherishing attitude is advantageous over cherishing others is more advantageous over cherishing others. Cherishing oneself, there is no other greater text than Bodhisattva Charya Avatara for that as well, even for the reasonings. And so this helps to cultivate the bodhicitta within ourselves. In this in the Bodhisattva Charya Avatara, the emphasis comes on the practice of this altruistic mind for the benefit of others. Whereas the 9th chapter, what it actually shows is how things actually are, which is to talk about the truth as it is, the reality as it is. And as opposed to the reality as it is, which is the ultimate reality of things, we have also the diversity of things. And so we need to understand the diversity of things as to what are the nature of these diversity of things, and what are their functions, and how they give rise to the effects, what are the effects, and so forth. And so these different things about the diversity of things or conventional reality should also be understood. And so what we are talking about is not being contented with the appearance, but the way things are. We should train our mind accordingly to realize the ultimate reality or ultimate truth. And regarding this ultimate truth, it is what we are talking about is the view of emptiness. And so when it comes to talking about view of emptiness, of course, we can also relate it to conventional things such as good, bad, pain, pleasure, pleasure, and so forth. And so good and bad and pain and pleasure are conventional things which come through their causes and conditions. And so, for example, in the case of things which we may consider good or bad, they come through their own causes and conditions, and our own perception is also involved. And with regard to the pain and pleasure, pain is caused because of our self-cherishing attitude. And there may be many other factors also involved, but mainly we cause ourselves and others pain and suffering because of self-cherishing. And also this is coupled with or helped by the grasping at some true existence or independent existence in things. And so these two, the self-cherishing attitude and grasping at true or self-existence in things, work hand in hand to cause us pain, to hold ourselves more dearer than others, and therefore causing everyone pain. And therefore we should counter it with the cherishing others over oneself. And so we need to think about the different faults of cherishing self and when we have self-cherishing attitude, what we also see is faults of others more than the positive qualities. And therefore, when we look at the faults of others, we hold on to them as if there is some kind of a absolute fault or defect in the person. And this is because of our grasping at true existence. And therefore, with the help of this grasping at true existence, the rest of the negative emotions also arise. And so the negative emotions that grow in us, such as attachment, anger, and so forth, arise because of our our perception or inappropriate way of looking at the things, inappropriate thinking or thoughts, and these in turn are said to have their root in this clinging to true existence, independent existence. And when we actually check into the reality of things, we'll find that there is no absolute existence in everything, in anything. And therefore, although things appear in a certain way, the appearance is not the reality. And therefore, even scientists, and particularly the quantum physicists, can say that things do not exist the way they appear to us. They do explain that. And so, with this, we should understand that things do not have any essential absolute existence or nature in themselves. And this is talking about emptiness, and so we should realize emptiness and seeing that there's nothing whatsoever that exists in absolute as absolute existence. And therefore, in the 9th chapter, this is what is taught. But in order to gain understanding and insight into emptiness, it's not enough just to study the 9th chapter of Bodhisattva Avatara, but we need also to study other texts which also can become complementary to this, what is taught in this text, such as other sutras and other commentarial teachings. And so with these, what we need to understand here is how to combat through the understanding of the diversity of things, the conventionality of things, we need to understand, and which also involves the cause and effect and law of causality and so forth. We need to understand how to go about with the practice and the cultivation of the method part of or the skillful means part of the practices. And with regards to the ultimate reality, which is to say that all this diversity of things have one taste, which is emptiness, and therefore, on the basis of this, we need to realize we need to destroy any objectification in things. And so, in other words, understanding that the conventional reality, we develop the method part of the practices, and on based on understanding of wisdom or developing the wisdom, understanding ultimate reality, we develop this wisdom, realizing the ultimate reality. And therefore, all the teachings of the Buddha, as Master Nagarjuna says, come down or are based on the two truths, which are the conventional and the ultimate truths.
किस प्रकार से प्राप्त करना चाहिए व्याख्या की जाती है। तो प्रमुख रूप से यहाँ दो सत्यों को समझना, तो बिना दो सत्यों को समझे इस बुद्धचर्या का और जो सिद्धांत है उनको समझना मुश्किल है।
I'll stop here for today. So as you meet me offering of the different objects such as drinking water and then ending with the food, I would say that this is the time for the real offering of food.